Hi, and we are going to look a little bit more into themes. So, just a quick reminder from last week, we asked, what is a yearbook? We said it's just not a book about the year, it's a memory book. You can look back and have things that you might have forgotten. It's a history book, actual historical events that happen. It's a reference book, so you actually use it as documentation for things, and a public relations piece. Appropriate content, nothing offensive, never anything reckless, illegal in there. The yearbook is not a newspaper. What's appropriate for a newspaper might not be appropriate for a yearbook, so please remember that. And while memories fade, yearbooks last. And I said, ask someone you know what one book they have from high school. It's probably not going to be their math, science, or social studies. It's going to be their yearbook. So we need to make it memorable. So where do we start? That's where we're starting to talk about theme. We said these are company logos. How do you know it's a company without words? Because they had a good logo and you could recognize it. That's what we want to do with our yearbook, with a theme. They can see the front, they can see the first pages, and they notice a theme all the way throughout your book. Now it's still going to look a little fuzzy, but let's look at a couple more things and see if this kind of helps you to come into play. And we'll look at an example of one today. First of all, macaroni and cheese, peanut butter and jelly. How about Harry and Meghan? What do these things have in common? They go together. PB&J, or British Prince, an American actress. Your newest go together is a yearbook and a theme, and that's where we're going to start. The theme is it is a word, a phrase, a concept that runs throughout the entire book. It defines the book. It is visual and it is verbal. It is both, not just one or the other. What do we mean by that? The theme holds the yearbook together. So there's an example of a couple there. We'll come back to those. It sets the tone. So when I open up that middle book, I'm going to expect to see light blues and yellows, and I'm going to see that font. And the way we see it, wonder what that means. We'll look at that sometime. It gives us personality. The theme is everywhere from beginning to end. And I know you don't know what all these things mean. We'll get to that later. Okay. But just know your theme is all the way throughout. It should even extend into photos and to text. So let's look at an example. And I'm going to ask you to pause your video at a certain point. Okay. So this was a high school in Kansas. And you notice what the name of it there. That's actually Latin for hardship to the stars or something like that. Notice what the book looks like, the cover. We open it up and this is the first thing we see. Here's the stars. These are called end sheets. That's the very first thing before you get to the pages of your book. Also notice the blue and notice the fonts. Okay, the next page you see is the title page. Well, check it out. They have the cheerleader almost outlined in the stars. Notice too the same font and the outline from the front of the book. The words are outlined down the side of the page. Okay, pause and look at this one. Same thing. Notice the colors, the font, the outline, the stars. Pause here and take a look. Again, same thing. Now, while you don't really see any stars on this page, you do see the font, you do see the outline. There's the circle there, and they had a circle in the front of their book as well, on their cover. People coverage, that would be like your school pictures. So you see, you got the circle, you got the stars. Not as much on the font here. Same thing here. Zoom into learning. That's us. That's us too. Okay, pause here. This is what you'd be called like your baby ads. Okay, so again, they've got the color, the font going through. Just looks a little bit different though. First names are outlined, last names in the cursive font. This is called an index. It is every student has their name in here, and next to it is every page that you would be on in the book. Okay, we don't have this in our book, but it is a popular feature in many books. Again, notice the color, the font inside the blue boxes. Okay, and here's another one, theme closing. And this is the last page of the book. Notice we had the cheerleader in the front. We still have the same burgundy background, and the football player is outlined in like the stars. Now, take a look at this just a second. So these are all the visual to verbal connections. Okay. Visual, meaning your colors, the type of font. So like the word cluster that's above of stars on the first one. See where it's got shooting stars. Okay. We notice the blue going through there. And then the verbal, the actual words. So remember we said this, that meant hardship to the stars. Cluster of stars, star moments, shooting stars, written in the stars. Okay, so that's the verbal connection that goes with it as well. Now, if you put those two together, you have an awesome yearbook. Okay, now you're going to look at a theme and some themes, and you're going to tell me how you liked it and what you learned here, what you see in that theme. Okay, so check out your assignment.